Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for being here. Today we have got the ultimate beginner's guide of how to apply makeup, and I'm going to take you through step by step with this in-depth tutorial of how to apply products, which products to use, where is a good place to splurge, where is a good place to save your money, and so that you can save this video and have an easy guide to refer back to whenever you are unsure about something so that you can take your makeup from this to this. And without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, I'm a firm believer that tools make or break your entire look. And so I've got a couple options for you, and I think investing in these is something definitely worth the splurge. My first recommendation to anyone that were to ask me, I'm really looking to invest in my makeup so that I can have the most foolproof, easy way. I don't want to think about it. If you're going to start wearing makeup for however many years of your life, what is going to be the best return on my investment for brushes? And that, I really believe now in 2025, is BK Beauty brushes. This is my favorite set from them. This is their collaboration with a YouTuber here on YouTube. I'm sure if you're not living under a rock, you know who she is. She is Nikki LaRose. She is a pro makeup artist in LA, so she really knows what she's doing. These are an investment piece. I think they are 100% worth the money. You do get a full face in here. She has a beautiful tutorial on her channel of how to use these to get a full face. But if you want to start out a little bit more on a budget, I think something like Real Techniques is absolutely fantastic. These brushes have lasted me for a really long time. You can find them at Ulta or on Amazon, and they have a really wide range of beautiful sets to try. So that is my first recommendation, is to really invest in your tools, and everything else will be so much easier no matter what price point you are at. If you were going to invest in everything, I say invest in tools and save on the makeup products. And now to start with our base, let's talk primers. Hey y'all, Future Sophie here real quick. I know my curly hair that day was being a little cray-cray, and as I'm editing this, there is a hair that this curl, just like, she will not leave us alone, and I just need you to ignore it. There's a lot of really good information packed into this video, so I didn't want to delete it, but oh my God, I'm so sorry that after this, if you see it, then you can't unsee it. But I do fix it eventually. It just takes a while. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It's because I don't have a monitor and I can't see myself when I'm filming. So I'm assuming this is like a horrific angle for me. But anywho, I love you girlies. Thank you so much for being here, and enjoy. I absolutely think that it is necessary to prime your face in some way, shape, or form. Do not wake up in the morning and then go try to put on your makeup. When it comes to actually buying a primer, it depends to me on when you are going to apply this and what you would like to get out of your makeup wear for the day. I personally am a big believer of skin prep with skincare. If you're going to do your makeup right after your morning skincare, you don't need any primers realistically, truly. But if you are somebody that is going to maybe need a little bit more longevity to your makeup, you want something a little bit more lasting, you want the look of your makeup to be a little bit more glowy, a little bit more matte, you want some pore blurring, that's when a primer can really come in and help you out. So there are three main types. You have your glowy primers, your gripping primers, and your pore filling primers. My favorites in those categories are these three here. There are so many great ones out there, but the Say Super Glowy Gel Primer is a beautiful one that is going to give you some luminosity to your skin and is going to make you look beautiful and hydrated. The very viral Hydro Grip Primer by Milk is a great one for longevity. This is going to keep your makeup on. It gives you a tacky grip when you let it settle down, which is going to like suction cup your foundation to your face so that it does not move throughout the day. If you're somebody that has large pores and you want to minimize them, a pore filling primer, whether it's silicone based or not, is going to be great for you. This is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer. This has a cooling sensation. It feels really nice. It's going to give you a very blurred, cloud-like effect to the skin. Today I'm going to go in with the Milani, speaking of which, and you can really see how well this applies. With any of the other primers, you can put them all over your face, but with a blurring primer, you want to concentrate it in the areas that you have quite a large amount of enlarged pores. That's usually around your T-zone. This area right here, your forehead, your nose, and the central part of your face is called the T-zone. This is typically where we get enlarged pores. Now you can see the difference between here and here, how these look a little more noticeable, a little more shiny. There's a little more emphasis on this. This has got a layer that has smoothed them out, and when we put foundation on top, they have all been made even with the top layer of your skin, so there's no more divots and holes in your skin, and you'll be able to see a very smooth, flat surface. Let's do the other side. Step number 2 in your makeup application is going to be your brows, because your brows are so important. They frame your face. If you have sparse brows like I do and you need to color them in, you actually want to go in when your skin doesn't have a lot of product on it, like a lot of foundation and concealer that's been blended over, so that the color actually has something to grip onto. Starting out with something that is going to brush your brows into the shape that you want and hold it all day, grab a spoolie. This one is $2 from e.l.f. And then this is the e.l.f. Brow Lift. It is a clear gel, super easy. Have a dedicated spoolie so that you can dig into this brow gel, and this will keep your brows in place all day. Starting at the front part of my brow, I'm just going to brush up. We want your brows to be lifted. No matter what shape you're trying to brush your brows into place, if you like fluffy brows, if you like a bit of thinner brows, we don't want them dragging down this. That's not a good look on anybody. We want to brush them up and away out of our face. As a general rule of thumb, you want everything on your face to feel lifted. Taking the other end of that spoolie, you'll see it's flat. This is actually so that you can press your brows to your face so that they don't move. There's not a lot of room for them to be brushed up and around and get all out of whack. The next step I have is to take a brow pen. This is my favorite. This is the Build-A-Brow by Maybelline New York. And it's just like it sounds, it's a pen. And this is what you are going to use. It is a very, very fine tip. And this is what you're going to use to lightly make hair-like strokes and fill in those sparse places where you might need a little more color to your brows. Take the other end of this. We love a dual-ended product. This has a little bit of its own brow gel, and just brush through so that there are no harsh places where you have just brown sticking up. There are lots of different brow products on the market. I know it can be kind of overwhelming, so take your pick, but I chose 2 of the products that I think are the most foolproof and easiest to use, because frankly, I find that a lot of the brow pencils and the brow powders, you can get extremely heavy-handed super easily. These products really take into account your natural brows, hairs that you've already got, and just add and enhance them a little bit without adding too much color to something that you may or may not know how to control. You may think the next step is foundation, but nay, it is concealer. If you are somebody that has a lot of redness, blemishes, dark spots, I actually go in with a concealer first. This will give you a more natural look to your foundation so that there's one layer. All these foundations nowadays are formulated to give you such beautiful skin-like finishes, and if you put so many products on top of them that are especially high and full coverage, it's just going to cover up that natural skin-like finish that you've got going on, which is why you bought the foundation in the first place. So use your concealer underneath it to actually cover up those darker spots you want gone. Concealer that's pretty near your skin tone. You don't want this to be too light or too dark. Try to match it as best you can to your skin. Just go in, conceal those places you think you're going to want extra coverage. Don't worry about blending these spots. We're going to let them sit. Next is foundations. Like primers, they can have a lot of different finishes, and the main types of finishes in foundations are matte, a satin finish, and a dewy finish. Matte foundations are really going to look the most flawless. They usually are a little bit more full coverage, but they aren't going to look as realistic because there's not a sheen to your face. Now, sometimes with a shine, it can emphasize things that we don't want, like texture, because when light hits your face and there's a sheen, it calls attention to it. So a lot of people with a lot of blemish-prone skin really prefer a matte foundation. If you're somebody like me that has dry skin and you really want to bring up some dullness and give some life to your face, a dewy foundation is going to be for you. A satin foundation is the Goldilocks, and that girl is right in between. Today I'm going in with a more matte foundation just because it's sort of what I feel like today. I'm going to go in with the new Anastasia Beverly Hills, what are you called? Start to blend in your foundation. You want to use patting motions, especially if you've got blemishes anywhere. You really want to concentrate all of the color and the product on the center of your face and slightly diffuse it out towards your hairline so you don't have a big clump of color right here by your hairline. Make sure to take it down your neck and even get some on your ears. This is going to ensure the most seamless blend. We are an artist. It's like we are painting our face, but we don't want to use paint brush strokes. That's how you get streaks of brush on your face. You want to pat. Patting keeps the most pigment and the most bang for your buck in the place that you want. When it comes to brushes, there is no rhyme or reason. There are no rules. You really can use a lot of brushes for anything, but for a foundation brush, you're going to want something a little bit denser usually. So that means that all of the bristles are more packed together. I have a lot of different foundation brushes I like for a lot of different reasons. This is the BK Beauty 101 brush, and the good thing about a brush kit is that if you're brand new, they kind of give you a little bit of a guide for which, and from there you can sort of play around and decide what kind of brushes you really prefer for your own face. Some people have much larger features. They might need a larger brush like this. Some people need a little bit more of a smaller brush for detail work. So this kind of just depends on your face shape. We are looking beautiful. We are one tone, but the next step is to go ahead and bring some warmth and dimension back into our face. This step you want to make as easy for yourself as possible, because although this can make you look so stunningly beautiful, if done wrong, you look like you have mud on your face. Brown is a scary color. I get it. These two products are so easy and blendable and foolproof. You almost cannot mess this up. The first one, the Rare Beauty Power Boost Bronzer Stick. This glides on like butter. It blends out like butter. You hardly can make a mistake with this. This is so gorgeous. I could say the same thing for the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. These two are some of my favorite products in the whole wide world, and I will show you why. This is the Makeup by Mario F4 brush. This is probably one of my favorite brushes outside of BK Beauty's line ever. So you're going to go ahead and dip the smaller side of the brush for me, because I have smaller features, into the skin enhancer. Pick up a good amount of product and dab it onto the back of your hand so that you don't pick up too much. You can always go back in with more. It's harder to take off. Starting out, you don't know your features. A good rule of thumb is to go from the top of your ear right here and just place that in line with the top of your ear. And again, we're going to do stamping motions. I do it in a circle. You do it back and forth like this, and that way this deposits the color in a little bit of a wider area, which makes it look a little more natural than if you're doing a straight, precise line. This diffuses the edges of where you're actually putting your product. You can see this product just gives a beautiful, nice sheen to the face. It's not too pigmented to where you look you've gone in with a lot of brown on your face. This is where the sun would naturally hit us. I've got a big forehead, so I take this and place this on my forehead as well. And this will sort of tie the look together and make it a little more cohesive. See, this gives so much warmth and dimension to your face, but it looks very natural. It doesn't look like this brown bronzer that you've got on and then skin tone. To show you how easy it is to go in with a sculpting product, I will show you here. You can either take some and swipe it right on your face, but if you're a beginner, I actually think it's easier to take some like this, load up your brush. Just like the product from before, you've got it on your brush and you're placing your brush where you actually need it to go, and not trying to put the product somewhere that's perfect and that you have the right placement and then blend it to where you would like it to go. One is very pigmented, but I'm barely tapping it, and it's just softly diffusing on its own. It's such a beautiful product. These two are very, very, in my opinion. Feeling proud of yourself and you're feeling fancy and you would like a few more fun areas to contour, you've actually got a few areas. The third I would suggest is taking it just below your jawline here. Actually have a shadow there, and this will just bring that out even more and bring out the fact that you have a jawline, and it will enhance the overall curvature of your face. Next up, we are going to tackle one of my favorite steps in my foundation, which is blush. Taking the other side of the Makeup by Mario F4 brush, this is a little bit larger version of the contour end, and I'm going to be using the Catrice Magic Shaper. This palette is about $6 on Amazon, and it is great for a beginner because it has everything you need from your contour colors to your creams, and it's very good quality. So it's got a peach color and a pink color. I'm going to go ahead and mix these two, bounce these on the back of my hand. What I would suggest is, do you see how we did not bring our contour all the way to the front of our cheeks? We kept it right in line with the outside third of our eye. That's where we ended it. I would start your blush in line with the outer part of your eye. Again, circling, tap, tap, tap. Don't be afraid to go over that contour and bronzer. Get on your temples a little bit. Remember, go in with a very light hand. We can always add more later. This is really one of those things too, where you want to step back and assess the situation and see where or if you might need more or less in some areas. Doing blush before concealer, you actually have a chance to blend out your concealer into your blush, especially if you've gone overboard. This is a very foolproof and safe way to do this. Next, I'm going in with Charlotte Tilbury's Glow Glasm Beauty Wand. The reason we're going in with all these cream products first is because actually, if you have textured skin, I find that cream products blend over texture much easier than powder. They are much more forgiving. A powder can catch a little bit, especially if you have texture. And so I find going in with all of your creams first really, really helps to eliminate that. I showed you how to apply some blush in a very basic, easy area that is very hard to mess up. But if you're looking into how to apply your makeup in terms of trends and what is actually in style right now, take your blush over your nose, bring it all the way almost up to under your eyes, especially if you haven't gone in with concealer first, because when you go in with your concealer under your eyes, this will diffuse very naturally if you've already got some blush going up there. They're going to meet together in the middle, and this is going to make it really seamless. Step is to go in with your concealer. We are finally here, we've made it. So we are almost at the end of our creams. We are going to go in with a little bit of concealer. I'm going to take the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. This is a very full coverage concealer. I've got pretty bad dark circles, so I need to go in with some full coverage. And you're going to go and place this right here on the inner third of your eye. This area that is very hollow inside of your nose, I feel like nobody talks about and everyone skips. Where I get some of the darkest parts of my eye, and I think bringing this and lightening this up is one of the keys to brightening up your eyes. Get a little bit here. I usually have some redness around my nose, the center of my nose, forehead, and my chin. When again we're talking about that T-zone, you want to bring all of the light to your face right here in the middle. And these are the high points of your face. This is where you're actually bringing the most attention and you're bringing these features back. It's a very precise brush for our concealer. So I'm going in with the Nikki LaRose concealer brush. This is her N16 brush. And I'm going to, again, begin tapping. Want to blend out your eye concealer last because you want to let it sit. The longer your concealer sits, the longer it has actually to get tacky and the pigment will stay there. If you go in and your concealer is wet, it's just going to move around quite a bit. And while that might be good for foundation because we want to blend foundation all over our face, we usually want to keep concealer exactly where we've placed it pretty much. And so we're going to let that sit and blend it out the last. Look up when you're blending your concealer. This really makes sure that it gets into all those creases so you don't have any skipping. Softly, softly this into your brush. You are an artist and it's all about the blend. So take your blush brush, you have nothing left, and go over the edges of where your concealer and your blush meet to make sure there are no harsh lines. So we have finally applied all of your creams. Your face is very wet right now, and so we need to go in and set it. I know setting powders can be a little scary for people, but I'm telling you, I think it's incredibly necessary, especially if you're taking the time to learn and apply all this makeup. And then it's as soon as the wind touches your face, it's going to come off. It really looks so beautiful and glowy like this, but for real life practical purposes, where you don't want it all over your clothes, you need to set your face. Foolproof beginner's way to a setting powder is to get one that is translucent. This means that there is no color to it, and that way you won't accidentally pack on too much color somewhere or choose the wrong color when you're shopping. I prefer a loose powder for all over my face, but I'll show you a little tip and a hack. And the most important thing is to blend out these creases that have been sitting there with your concealer first before you go in with powder. And I mean right before you go in with powder. Little hack I don't see a lot of people talking about is take a pressed powder. This is MCO Beauty's Miracle Flawless pressed powder. Swirl it in your pan. I love powder. Now, like you see all the beauty gurus doing online, you're going to take one of these little sponges. I get mine from Amazon. They're super inexpensive. They're fitted like a triangle to fit in this little triangle here under your eyes, and you're going to take a loose powder. This one is one of my favorites. This is Huda Beauty's Cherry Blossom Cake Easy Bake Setting Powder, and you're going to dip this into the powder here. Now, this is too much. This is a little scary. We are going to blend this on the back of our hand so that we get a nice even application of this. And now right where we applied that press powder, go in and set. Powder is not only great for blurring and setting, but it also can really brighten your under eyes as well. And that is what this pink color is doing, is neutralizing all the yellow in my face. Your chin, anywhere you applied that concealer. Don't be afraid if it looks like you've put on too much. If this looks like it's not matching you, take a clean brush that is not too dense and the bristles are very movable, and wipe away that powder. Now you are all set. Step number 6, I think it is eyeshadow. You want to get a smaller, more fluffy brush, and really eyeshadow is very basic. You can use your bronzer, you can use your finger, but I'm going to go in with these neutral shades here that kind of match my top, and I'm just going to lightly mix them. And you see all this color deposited here? I'm just going to tap that off so that we don't have too much. Now, this place where your brow bone here meets the soft part of your eye, in between there is your eye socket. That's where we actually want to define your eye. So place your fluffy brush right in between that space. Start making little circles. This helps kind of create a more diffused look. Next, I'm going to keep this eye look super simple today. I'm going to go in with a shimmer. And a shimmer, I find the best way to do it, any shimmer ever, is to just use your finger. It's a free tool God gave you for applying glitter. So I think I'm going to go in today with something like this. You just want to place that on your lid. You don't have to be too precise with this. Glitter is meant to look a little more diffused a lot of the time, so go ahead and just stamp it. Next, I know eyeliner can be incredibly intimidating to people, which is why I incorporate it in my eyeshadow. I take a dark color of eyeshadow, take this space gray and this black and mix it, and you want to go in with an angled brush like this. This is going to be really easy, and eyeshadow is much more forgiving than a wet liner that you can't actually get rid of once you place it on your eye. Follow this natural line here. If you were to line up your angle of your brush with your bottom lash line, that's where you'd like to place the shadow. Start out very thin and connect it to your eye. If you've got that down, you've been practicing, and you want a little bit more of like what's trending now and how are people doing their eyeliner now, take your darker colors and bring them into your inner corner to give yourself a beautiful elongated eye. This is going to make your eye look very almond. For the lower lash line, take a clean brush like this, go in with one of these neutral shades here that we use to define our crease, and just lightly blend this out. If you ever feel like you can't get your wings to look even, don't worry, I've got a hat for you. And I'm going to take a fluffy brush, and I'm actually going to just buff the edges. Voila! You have a fancy smanchy eye look without actually having to match your wings, and nobody will know. For powder blush, I'm going to take an angled brush like this. Today, I'm going to go in with these. This is Fenty Beauty's Fenty Cheeks in the shade Water Brat. Sweep it very lightly over the liquid and cream blush we put down. Next up, everyone's favorite, it is the lips. Starting out with a liner. Now there's a bunch of great liners on the market. Maybelline has some fantastic ones. I love LA Girls liners. And the other ones that are my favorite, Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencils. This one is in the shade Limitless Brown. Now this one is, again, very up to you, but usually a good rule of thumb, start very light, use a very light hand. Again, lip liners are actually going to give you so much dimension to your lips, and that's why I really like them. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Big Lip Plumpgasm, and this is in the shade Fair Medium. The last step in your makeup is a setting spray. Now, a setting spray is something that actually will lock your makeup into place. There's usually a matte finish and a dewy finish, so it just depends on what you would actually like for your makeup. I actually prefer dewy finishes, even if I'm going for a matte look, because it blends the matte and dry look of the powder together and actually brings a little bit more life to my skin, makes it look a little bit more realistic on the skin side, especially if you're going full glam. So for that, I love the Dalpa First Spray Serum. It's a hydrating spray. It's going to give life to your skin, but it's not a setting spray. It is not going to keep your makeup into place. For that, I like to use an actual setting spray. There are so many of them that are really great. Urban Decay All Nighter is a really great setting spray. The One Size setting spray is phenomenal. Morphe has one that I absolutely love. But today on hand, I've got the NYX The Face Glue setting spray. I'm a setting spray junkie. The trick is you want to be liberal with your setting sprays. You want to feel like you've put on too much. I promise you they will dry down, but you want to have enough on to where your face looks wet and this actually meld together and really lock it into place and also give you that skin-like finish. Okay, that's all for me today. Thank you so much. You are now a full baddie. Now you know how to apply a full face of makeup that looks like you know exactly what you're doing when really you have no idea what you're doing at all. You're just a beginner. So let me know if you really enjoyed this video. If you like more like this, I've got a ton of tips and tricks. If you'd like to see more beginner tutorials, leave them down in the comments below. I would love to have you in my cozy corner of the internet. Feel free to overstay your welcome as we find ways to live life more beautifully together. But until next time.